Tom Campbell on Wednesday, the NCAA's Division I Council approved a pair of rules that will require Purdue coach Jeff Brohm and his coaching staff to adjust their approaches on and off the field. One eliminates coaches' ability to resist transfers. The other opened up participation for players during the season. Brohm is a fan of the former but not the latter. The second-year coach thinks it makes sense to allow players the ability to move forward, as long as they still have to sit a year after transferring, which is the case, without being limited in the transfer choices. Oftentimes, schools will block transfers to other schools within the conference, or even if such schools are coming up on the schedule. That's not how it should work, Brohm said. The young man can fight it, but you have to go through the whole appeal process. It's a big ordeal that sometimes they're not aware of, and schools know that, so they block the ones they want to, thinking he isn't going to know what to do. He isn't going to fight it. That's not right. So I'm 100% in favor of that rule, Brohm said Wednesday. Sometimes it may hurt us, but I think it's the right thing to do for kids. It's getting ridiculous that someone wants to transfer and that school can tell you where you can't go. ... We shouldn't be allowed to dictate where they want to go. The changes to a player's ability to play up to 4 games during a season without using a season of competition, which means true freshmen, essentially, may not redshirt, will take a bit more adjusting. And certainly some strategy. Brohm said he wasn't in favor of that rule change but wouldn't specify why. Last season, the rule actually would have helped Purdue, considering it debated whether to pull the red shirt off quarterback Nick Sipe when its other QBs suffered injuries. But playing Sipe in the last third of the season would have meant he would have only had 3 more years to play, not 4. Instead, Purdue stuck with Elijah Cinderella, who was playing with a torn ACL. That's not to say Sipe would have played last season, but it would have at least made the decision less of one because it wouldn't have impacted his eligibility. The NCAA's council chair said in a press release that the rule change promotes fairness, health, and well-being. Redshirt football student athletes are more likely to remain engaged with the team, and starters will be less likely to feel pressure to play through injuries, Blake James said in a release. Coaches will appreciate the additional flexibility and ability to give younger players an opportunity to participate in limited competition. Brohm admitted there would be more flexibility, and the strategy involved, too. When play first-year guys. Get them experience on special teams early in the year or save them until late in the season, when they'd likely be more physically and mentally ready for Big Ten competition. You can get guys ready, possibly travel certain guys, and if something crazy happened during the game, you don't have to be scared to put them in, Brohm said. It would help certain situations, and I get why they want to pass it. Now that they have, we'll adjust. You're just going to have to monitor they can't play more than 4 games, Brohm said Wednesday. Projected starting left tackle Grant Hermans is pretty close to 100%. Hermans tore an ACL last season and missed the second half of the year, his first as a starter. Running backs Dario Fuller-Foot and Richie Worship-knee still have work to do to get healthy, and quarterback Elijah Cinderella-knee actually is getting dialed back because he's dealing with shin splints, Brohm said. Though the freshmen still are getting acclimated to college life, Purdue's extensive playbook, and Justin Lovett's summer training program, so there's room to grow until training camp, Brohm said Wednesday. He doesn't anticipate many rookies being ready to contribute heavily in year 1. He may still play them to take advantage of the new rule, but in terms of a consistent presence, the only one. He mentioned with receiver Rondell Moore, Purdue has been touting its new train whistle at Ross-Ady Stadium with decibel tweets. Brohm, who lives close to the stadium, said he thinks he heard one of the tests recently. "I have not gone over there and heard it, but I may have heard it by accident," Brohm said. My wife said, "Is the Boilermaker special out front?" Brohm still is pursuing a graduate transfer linebacker, perhaps one of the team's thinnest positions. The top three linebackers in the spring were Marcus Bailey, the team's best player, and sophomores Derek Barnes and Cornell Jones. The latter two still have room to grow. This summer will be pivotal toward that improvement. But there's no proven depth behind the top three. Hence the continued hunt for an older, more experienced option. We're still in the market. We looked at some things and they ended up not coming to fruition. If something were to pop, we would have room, Brohm said. Membership info. Sign up for goldandblack.com now. Why join? Questions. Follow goldandblack.com, Twitter, Facebook. More Gold and Black Illustrated, Gold and Black Express. Subscribe to our podcast. Copyright Boilers Inc. 2018. All rights reserved. Reproducing or using editorial or graphical content, in whole or in part, without permission, is strictly prohibited.